Let's talk about the Trail 90 for a few minutes. The Trail 90 is essentially complete. No, it's not restored. It's not put back in as new condition. What it is cleaned up, looks pretty good, runs really good, everything works. It is a functional motorcycle. Um, so one of the things I want to talk about is its viability as a mode of transportation. Uh, what it is very similar to some of the small scooters, but it has a few advantages. Talk a little bit about the advantages of scooters. People will tell you they're easier to ride. They have an automatic transmission. Well, the Trail 90 does not have an automatic transmission. It's got a 4-speed, but it does have an automatic clutch. So you don't have to operate the clutch. Makes it very easy to ride. I don't really think there's an appreciable difference in the difficulty of operating them. The small scooters are inexpensive. I don't have a lot of money into this Trail 90, and as I say in the ride video, you can buy one all put together, more completely put together than mine is, and in uh, looking better shape than what mine is, for $1,500 or less. So that's a fairly inexpensive thing. Um, Gas mileage is going to be very similar. The one time I've tested my gas mileage on a more or less full tank, I got right at 100 miles per gallon on this thing. So I think it is a good alternative to the scooter. It has the advantage of you can take it on the trails. It has the dual range uh, transmission, so you can put it in low gear and you can go up hills. You can ride in the hills, ride in the desert, ride pretty much anywhere you want to. It's pretty rugged. It has larger wheels than a scooter. It does not have the built-in storage, but it's got a big luggage rack on the back, and you can strap a whole bunch of stuff on there. It's got a pretty rugged design, holds up pretty well to abuse, and it's a pretty good thing. Some people may be afraid of using a 50-year-old motorcycle as their daily commuter or for their errands. The only thing I'll say is it is a Honda, and it's so simple, and it's just plain running. Now the one I've got's got 3,300 miles on it. That's not uncommon. Very low mileage on a lot of these things because they've sat for a lot of years. Mine shows no signs of being worn out. Doesn't use oil. It just purrs and just keeps it running just like crazy. I'm not overly concerned about it breaking down. Not really any more than a newer bike. So I think it does have some advantages. So take a look at the video. I do a little ride video up to the grocery store and just talk about some of the things I found out with the Trail 90 and without it. All in all, I'm very happy with the thing. I think it's a lot of fun. It's an attention getter for people, and it's very handy to run to the grocery store. I almost never take my big bike anymore when I'm running to the store. I take the little baby bike. Take the big bike if I'm going out on the freeway, going more than just a few miles. I take the little bike if I'm just running to the store, running errands, doing this and that, because it's fun. So um, give it a watch. Let me know what you think. Thanks.
So I've got my helmet cam on here, and I'm going to run to the grocery store. This is a cold start, although it's probably 90 degrees here, so it's not terribly cold. It's just a shade cold-blooded when you first start it up. When it's cold out, you have to run the choke for a couple minutes. When it's warm like this, I don't use the choke. I just use a little bit of throttle to keep it going. And then I drive slowly to get out of our park before I give it the gas, so to speak. So, in my view, a small motorcycle like this, its competition is really the small scooter. So the difference is the scooter has an automatic transmission. There's no gear shift at all. This has an automatic clutch. So as you see, I don't have a clutch handle here, and I don't have a clutch, but I do have to shift gears. Now it's possible to start out in second or third gear with this, but it is going to be hard on it. It's got an 89cc engine that develops 7 horsepower. So that's probably a little more than a 50cc or 49cc scooter, but it's not as much as the 115 or 150cc scooter class. The performance level, though, is much better than the smallest scooters, and it's close to the bigger scooters. I've not driven one of those, but they list a top speed of, a 125cc scooter will list a top speed of in the 50 to 59 mile per hour range. Well, with me on this, which is probably right at maximum load of what it's supposed to be carrying, I have gotten it up over 50 regularly. But, the top speed is not really the point here. What it does is it will work driving in traffic. All the speed limits on the surface streets where I ride are typically 45 miles an hour, which means the traffic's moving anywhere from 45 to 55 typically. So what I can do is I can move fast enough to not get run over. And that's kind of what you need for grocery store runs and all of that. Yes, I'd love to have a few more horsepower. If I had a 60 mile an hour top speed, for instance, you could pull out, keep up with traffic easier. But this will get you going. After a block or so, I'm approaching 40 miles an hour. I can easily get up to 45. When I first got it running better, I was real happy to get to 45 miles an hour. What I've found is, as I've been driving it, the performance has gotten better, where I can typically hit 50 miles an hour if I leave it at top speed for quite a while. Even against a wind or a slight upgrade, I can hit 45, although it does sometimes take a while to get there. So that's not that bad. Certainly is good enough to drive around on city streets here and stay relatively safe. What you learn is you don't pull out in front of somebody, and you don't get wrecked. But as you can see here, I can accelerate okay. I'm a block away from that corner. I'm about to hit 40 miles an hour. Not much wind here. And I will go, and I'll gradually, if I get a good long run here, I'll gradually get up to 50 miles an hour. I've had it to 52, 53. But you can see I'm moving right along with the traffic now. When I have to slow down at a stoplight, it slows me down a little more than it does on a little bigger bike. Now the 50cc scooters, you're lucky to get 30 miles an hour out of those. I would not want to drive those around here. But what this allows me to do is to back off to about 3/4 throttle and cruise at a nice, comfortable 45 miles an hour, which is right what I'm doing here. I can go faster. It just takes me a while to get up there. But as you can see, I'm keeping up with these cars in front of me. I don't want to be any closer to them. I'm going fast enough. Would I want to get out on the freeway with it? No way, because you just can't go fast enough. But it's not a freeway bike. But as opposed to a scooter, the nice thing about this is I've got the gears, so I can use some engine braking to stop. I've also got the high-low range, so if I want to go trail riding, I can do it. Now, this is not a modern dirt bike, and a young, aggressive dirt bike rider is not going to be happy with it. I think of it as a scrambler for old men and kids, because a young kid would be very happy on this, on the dirt, and I'm very happy with it, because I'm not going to go fast because I don't want to kill myself. So, as you can see, I lag behind the cars just a little bit of start up there. Acceleration is a little better. But I can gradually get up there and get caught up. and I'm not really holding up traffic. I'm not making people mad because, frankly, a lot of cars don't start off any faster than I do with this. So as you can see, here in just a few blocks, I'm closing in on 50 miles an hour. I'm not tucked down or anything. I'm just sitting up here driving, and it is absolutely fine. And it's very comfortable riding like this. And you can see I live a mile and a half, a couple miles from the store. I don't know exactly how far, but it's just a nice little ride. It's easy to park. It's very much like a scooter. The advantage of it is you do have the gears. You got a little better performance. The disadvantage, the scooter has maybe a little more built-in storage. As we can see when I stop, I've got a kind of a milk crate on the back. I can pop that off in 2 minutes and put the buddy seat back on. And the milk crate works really good for going to the grocery store and all kinds of errands. It's not lockable, but it works okay, and it works pretty good. Fuel economy is going to be right about on a par with the small scooters. The only full tank I've checked my gas mileage on, I got right at 100 miles a gallon. I drove 133 miles and used 1.3 gallons. So that's not bad. 100 miles a gallon is pretty good. Keep in mind, most of my driving that I do around here is basically full speed. So if I was trying to get better mileage, if I was driving 30 miles an hour or something like that, I might very well get above 100 miles a gallon, and I might get lower than that. If I was smaller and lighter, I'd get more than that. That's for sure. So I'm gonna shut it off now, run into store, and I'll be back in a minute. So it needs no warm up. Really, for all practical purposes, once it's run for about 5 minutes, it's good. If it's cool out, you'll have to choke again, but this way you can see it starts on the first or second crack, just idles nicely. It's fine. So comparing this to a scooter, cost-wise, of course this is used. It's 51 years old now. Only has 3,200 miles, but it's old. Parts are all available, no problem with that. I bought the thing for $200, but I put a little money into it and quite a bit of work. So I probably have, I don't know, I haven't totaled it up for a while, $600-700 in it, I suppose. For that money, you can buy a brand new no-name scooter, but I really wouldn't advise that unless you're pretty handy. Because getting somebody to work on those is pretty tough. You can buy a used Honda or Yamaha scooter for probably in that same ballpark. I have to say most of these that I see, frankly, if you can buy a pretty nice Trail 90 that's not been completely restored but is in pretty good, relatively new condition, for about $1,500, sometimes a little less. So, and for about the same money, you can get a relatively new scooter. But like I say, this has some advantages over the scooter, at least for me. Now, for some people, they're going to think the scooter is way better. So, I'm driving a little slower here because it's hard to talk while we're going that fast, but it's, to me, this is a better deal. Now, the other option for a small bike like this, maybe you get a small dual sport or a small, well, it's windy today. I'm going against the wind now, so get a small dual sport or get a small standard bike. Kind of like the Suzuki TU250. That thing is a real nice bike. It's a 250. It's got enough power to go on the highway. You're not going to want to take long trips on the highway, but it'll get up and go 65 miles an hour, fairly comfortably. And certainly for around town, that would be a great commuter. Your mileage gas mileage is going to be a little less than this, but it's not going to be bad. And of course, you can keep up with any car in town. You have no problems with that. So that's an option, a bike like that, or a small dual sport, something like that. Of course, they're going to be a little more expensive than this. Again, to me, this competes really well with the small scooters, and to me has a ton of advantages. Now, it is 50 years old. The parts are all available for you. You can buy virtually anything for it easily online. And working on it is fairly simple. If you can't work on it, you can find somebody to do it, because it's not complex. So I think it's a pretty good deal. Probably easier to do the work on this than even the Suzuki or one of those, although those wouldn't be too bad. The other advantages over a scooter, you got the bigger tires. You got 17-inch tires on this thing. That's a big advantage over those little tiny scooter tires. And I tell you what, you hit a big pothole or something, you're in trouble on that. I haven't driven one of those, and I think they're just fine. And I would not be opposed to one of those for around town. Of course, I like to shift gears. I do find that the automatic clutch is kind of handy once you get used to it. It's very handy. It's nice in traffic because you stop, and all you do is you just push the brake and stop. The other thing, I do not have turn signals on this, so I'm making a hand signal right here. Not a big deal for me. I can get hand or turn signals for it. I have to open my gauge here. I can get turn signals for it. I don't even think they're expensive. I suppose they're $100 or $150. To get a complete setup. I could probably rig something up even cheaper than that. Just don't know that I need them, but I may end up doing that at some point. For cruising around in here, it's perfect. It's very easy to get in and out of my driveway and all of that, so that's really handy. It does not take the place of my big bike, because I wouldn't feel like I could take this out on the road on any kind of a trip. And to go out on the freeway, I'm just not going to do that with this. It's not fast enough. But I could go most anywhere around here taking the surface streets. It's going to take me a little longer than in the car, but not that bad. And it runs very well and handles that stuff very well. So I think, if it was me, I'd probably ideally I'd have at least 3 motorcycles. I've got 2 right now. I've got my big cruiser, and I'll kind of do a run through on that at some point too, just to kind of show it. And it's great for out on the road. It's also real handy for around town. But parking it and stuff like that is a little more work. It weighs probably around 900 pounds or thereabouts, and that's a load. You have to be very careful when you put your foot down. Make sure you got good footing and all of that, because you can lose that if it starts to go. It's too heavy to hold. This thing, it's just so light you can just practically pick it up and throw it around. So that's not a concern with this. It's very comfortable to ride. I enjoy riding it. It's a nice thing to cruise around on. This has one factor that the scooters don't, and even other small motorcycles don't, is I can't go anywhere without somebody asking me about this thing. We were out camping a couple weeks ago, and I had it, even when I just had it sitting in the back of the truck, I'd have people stopping by and asking if they could look at it, asking questions about it. What year is it? It seems like everybody either had one when they were a kid, or they knew somebody that had one when they were a kid, or something like that. And so it's kind of got a cool factor. It's a little different. the people that don't know, they think it's a scooter because it's got the open frame, but this is a motorcycle. It's not a scooter. So it's a lot of fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun to have a couple of them and go out riding in the desert. I don't really want to go out riding in the desert by myself. I'm comfortable the bike could hold up, but it's just smarter to have somebody go with you. So I don't know that I'll ever do that much, but it'd be fun. And you can't go with somebody with a bigger dirt bike because you're not going to keep up, and they're going to go raising hell and screeching through the desert and all of that. So that's not really the point of this bike. The maximum load on it is supposed to be about 230 pounds. I'm that all by myself, but we have ridden double a few times, not far and not fast, but it'll handle it. It's a tough old thing. It'll hold up to a fair amount of abuse. I know my dad, who was not a small guy, he had this same year and model when I was a kid, and he would ride it up deer hunting, and there were a number of times he came back with a deer strapped on the back end of it, and so and it handled. That's kind of what it's built for. So it's got a fair amount of cargo capacity. I've got to believe that it's got more cargo capacity than the little scooters. Now you get up to the bigger scooters, and they've got some advantages, but the same way a bigger motorcycle has some advantages. The other thing, of course, in some states, the small scooters don't require a motorcycle endorsement, but to me that's false economy. Some of them don't even require insurance, but you've got to have insurance if you're going to be riding around out on the street, I think. And really, if you're going to be riding out on the street, you should be able to demonstrate enough proficiency to get the motorcycle test. That test is not that hard. Boy, taking it on this thing would be just a snap. If you couldn't pass that test on this thing, you shouldn't be out on the street. So it's very handy. It's fun to ride. It's an attention getter. I really like the thing. Now, it is 51 years old. People are going to think, gee, is that going to be reliable? Well, I can't tell you for sure on this particular one. What I can tell you is that there's tons of these things still in operation. They're 40 and 50 years old, and they're still driving around. And this thing, I mean, it could blow up tomorrow, but it doesn't use any oil. It starts and runs good. Again, all the parts are available. It's only got 3,200 miles on it, so it's not worn out if it wasn't abused. It probably sat for years and years and years without being run, which was probably harder on it than anything. But I fired it up. I've put 400 or 500 miles on it, I think, since I got it, and not a hiccup.